Hey, what's going on, y'all? Hope y'all doing well on this Tuesday morning. Transform Your Physical Health Live a is when I go live to answer your health and fitness questions, and I also talk about health and fitness related stuff that's in the news or just kind of like relevant, something I thought about that would be important maybe for you to know, and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get into it. So I recorded a video yesterday where I was talking about me going to get rid of old and unused medication that we had around the house for years. And it's kind of maybe seems somewhat divergent from the kind of stuff I usually talk about, but I thought it might be relevant. It's like because that stuff can be, well, one, some of you who are making health changes, are probably able to get off of your medications, and so it's like, what do you actually do with them? The other thing is a lot of times we have what amounts to improper disposal of medications, improper disposal of like just substances, chemicals into the environment. We throw them away. We put them in the grass and and out, just throw them outside and stuff like that. And it's not good. It's not good. I think that it's kind of a mindset, and I get it. I know. I think I understand why most of us do that, but you got to really think about the bigger implications of that. So a few years ago, my wife and I got our kitchen renovated. We moved in a pretty old home, and the way the kitchen, we moved in the home with um, the intention to really renovate it all over time. You know, kind of like people do with fixer uppers. So this wasn't a total fixer upper, but it's some things that needed to change. Um, the kitchen was one of those that needed to change very quickly, very kind of ugly and stuff like that. But we kind of, caught a vision for it. Anyhow, so we got it renovated, and that was a process that involved. I mean, man, it was a process. We ended up being, I think, shut out of our kitchen for a couple of months. The project ended up getting pushed back because we had asbestos in the house, in the kitchen, and I'm glad my wife spoke up because some of the people who were working on the house were just like, oh, it might be asbestos here, and steady breaking stuff and, sending dust up in the air. And it's like, then she was like, no, here, let's just wait. And then we ended up getting it tested. And so, yeah, they had to remediate the kitchen for asbestos the proper way by getting machines and taping off the kitchen and all this kind of stuff, And so it pushed our whole project back. Anyhow, um, so it moved forward. We had an old thermostat in the kitchen. It's one of those kind where it has like the little plastic knobs where you turn it on or off or switch it from heat to AC and all this kind of stuff. So it's one of those old style. If you in your 30s um or older, you probably know what I'm talking about. And I remember when the guy was I remember being at a house when the guy was like taking it off because they had to do some stuff with the wall or whatever. And I noticed, I never knew what the inside of those looked like, but it has like these, mercury things. I guess that's the kind of stuff that helps to kind of determine what the temperature is. But these little things of mercury on the inside, real mercury. So like the stuff that the T-1000 and Terminator 2 looked like it was made out of. And so I remember seeing the guy like get the stuff and throw it away, and it was like, of course, it was immediate red flag for me because it's like, isn't mercury bad for the environment? And but I just asked him, it's like, is it okay? Is it okay to throw it away? He was like, oh yeah, no, yeah, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And so he tossed it in my trash can. And so when he left, I went back and pulled it out, and and I put it in a cabinet. And I'll say, like, I actually still have that thing in my cabinet because I don't know how to dispose of it. I need to do some research. But my point is, we're so used to thinking about health and fitness being just about eating right and exercising. You may know that you got to drink water and you may be aware that you need to get good sleep too. But one thing we don't really understand is the impact of chemicals on our health. It's so many man-made chemicals out there like pesticides and plastics and you have pharmaceuticals, you have heavy metals, you have all of these things that are products or byproducts of the different kind of things that we make and produce and whatnot that most of us don't really think about. But like all you have to do is just a teeny bit of research to see that these are hazardous to human health and they're hazardous to health of other animals and things. Importantly, if that doesn't really matter to a lot of people, then you have to think animals that we consume. Most people have heard of, like, how fish um a lot of times have mercury concentrations in their body, such that when you eat a whole lot of fish, then you can get mercury poisoning. Um, so you're only supposed to eat fish like maybe 2 or 3 times a week because of that. Otherwise, it would be okay to eat it more often. But anyhow, that showed me that even though we know about this stuff being bad for the environment, we kind of tend to kind of pass off like the care of that to somebody else, and we just kind of think, well, we just kind of ignore the impact. But y'all, we when it comes to like these old medications, when it comes to like old thermostats that got straight up mercury in them, all these different kind of things, oil, from cars and all this stuff. Like, you got to understand, we got to get rid of that stuff the right way. Because, again, I said something yesterday in one of my videos about, I think it was yesterday, about how we kind of think that a lot of health problems are like, they just kind of like are luck of the draw. They just kind of happen by chance. But then we'll throw away Mercury thermostats. Mercury. I'm even looking at this site from the government. What site? Where does this come from? USGS. What is that? I don't know what USGS is, but it says mercury is a potent neurotoxin. That means it's toxic to the nervous system that can accumulate in fish to levels of concern for human health and the health of fish eating wildlife. Um, Much of the mercury in the environment originates from combustion of coal and can travel long distances in the atmosphere before being deposited on the land surface. Um, okay, let's see. Highly toxic to the nervous system. Persistent in the environment, that means it lingers for a while. Um, it bioaccumulates, so it's higher amounts of mercury in the tissues of animals and plants than it is in like water. And it biomagnifies, which means it's higher concentrations at increasingly higher levels in the food chain. So like, you know, uh plants that are eaten by fish, that are eaten by people. So like the people at the end of the top of the food chain will have higher levels. But my point is, a lot of our health problems could be coming from these kind of toxins and whatnot. They could be. But as long as we kind of like ignore this stuff like it doesn't matter, then we're just gonna think that the health problems caused by improper disposal of various toxins, um, we're just gonna act like that stuff doesn't matter. It does matter. So like, y'all, you got to figure it out. Like, I admit, when I try to figure out where to throw away these old medications and stuff like that, or dispose of them properly, it, like I said, it took me an hour and a half to figure that out. Um, and so that was, I had work to do and stuff, so that definitely was like not cool on my part. But I was like, that's why I waited years, because I was kind of putting it off, because I was like, I don't know where to do this, and every time I've asked in a cursory manner, I never get a good answer. But this time I decided to kind of keep on persisting until I got the answer so I could get rid of that stuff. And I still got a few things to get rid of. But anyway, that said, y'all, we got to do better, man. We got to do better. I know that kind of ignites like some of the debate with environment stuff. Unfortunately, that's become like a political kind of thing. I don't really care for the politics. Like to me, it just makes sense, to especially since we've created all these toxins, we need to dispose of them properly so they're not harming life, human life, plant and animal life and whatnot. Of course, if it affects the plants and the animals, then it's going to affect us too. So anyhow, make sure y'all dispose of these things properly. Again, even household cleaners, some of that stuff they say you can just pour down the drain. But just do your research, especially we have no excuse in 2024. We have the internet and all these other technological things that help us to figure out what to do with some of these things. So I'm just saying, y'all, remember I come on at 10 o'clock on weekdays, Monday through Friday, to answer your health and fitness questions. So bring them on, especially if it has to do with exercise, calisthenics, um, eating right and all this kind of stuff. I'm about to post a video here of the breakfast I had this morning. So yeah, throw yourself away the right way. Dispose properly. All right. Y'all have a good one. And hopefully I will see you on tomorrow morning at 10.